Hi guys, we are going to do something amazing today, a very wow designs, that's a dream catcher and all. There is a little trick how to do it, so it doesn't take you too much time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This is the 17th episode, because every Monday I've got a new tutorial for you. My name is Dorota Palicka, international new artist and educator, and I'm very happy to produce those new videos for you. So that's the look which we are going to create today. It's going to be a dream catchers and all. And it is a very easy way. It can be tricky, especially on the beginning, so I will show you a complete step-by-step so you understand how to use the transfers. We are doing a client nail and we need to prep them or either shape if it is on enhancements, and then remove the dust. For a background, I'm going to use the white gel polish, which is 173, and apply it on the entire nail. I think on the white it looks the nicest because everything pops out, so I would recommend for any kind of decals you use the white. And some people use the sticky base to get the product to adhere to. I actually quite like it when the surface is nicely buff, and this way I'm getting better lasting results. So here I've got 2 coats of the color. I can apply the top coat. And then cure it. And the other one is cured, first layer. Second layer, cure it. And this one is ready, I think. Yeah, so this one is ready. So once we've got the nails fully painted, I can buff the surface of the nail. Then cut out the design we want to use. So I've got some decals with the owl and also a dream catcher as well. I think this one is pretty nice, and that's what I'm going to cut out. So basically they come like on the matte piece of paper, and then you've got the shiny surface. So all you have to do it is cut the design out. And then put it into the water. Just leave it there for a couple of seconds so the water can soak off. It actually works like the tattoos. When we was kids, we was using lots of different tattoos, so that's actually the same way how it works, and I think it's fantastic, especially for a beginner nail tech or a person which is more after the structure or French and is not necessarily loves the play and the fun with the nail art. I think this is a really nice alternative, and I have been asked to do this video by a couple of people, like asking like how do you use the transfers. Normally I tend to don't go for it on the clients. Actually, I don't know why, because I think they look really pretty, to be honest. So yeah, maybe I will start using it more often as well after this video. So that's the transfer already, and I could nicely peel it off. So it just has like a clear surface. You want to apply it on when it's still wet. Now that gives you a time to find the best surface, and because the nails aren't 100% flat, there might be some places where you've got the creases. So what I quite often do it is I cut those creases out like a wee cut, so they flatten more on the nail. and here as well. So by giving those 2 cuts, I'm able to flatten it out, and you cannot see it really, those lines. So flatten it up and play into the position you want to place it. So I'm going to place a little bit higher on the top, where we also apply a couple of the crystals to blend everything on, because at the moment it does looks a bit fake. If it will happen that the nail is much smaller than the decal, and you've got any sticking out places, best is to file it off or to cut it off. You don't want that to be pulled from the nails. Ideally, it's better if you leave some gaps in between. You could also take acrylic paints and paint it a little bit over those places, so the difference doesn't show off as much. But let this one to dry. And we're going to place an oval on the other one. So exactly the same. I can put this one away. Cut the oval. And I quite like go pretty close to the design I want to use. I don't want to have too much of those clear places with the foil, not necessary. So cut it all out, put it into the water, leave it for a couple minutes so it soaks nice, and that gives us a time to buff this tip. And you can really see it, it takes seconds, so definitely worth to keep it in a salon, especially if you kind of like really short with time and clients comes in and want something really fancy. Then you could just pick up the transfers and you could use them, especially as they do look really good. So here I'm going to place a couple of the crystals. Yeah, I think I will put a couple more in between those places, much smaller ones, so like one in here, one in there, something in here, and in here, but just tinier ones. So like really tiny crystals. There is also another way of doing them in, and then you could paint some extra bits and pieces. And I think that's really interesting too for the person which feels like, oh my goodness, this is so easy to do it. I wish to do something more exciting. Then you could buff it and you could paint it on top of the decal too. Sorry, I'm blinging out all my designs just because I'm in love with all the crystals. Something here as well. Or you could use only some parts of the decal. I think that would be pretty nice. Okay, so I have blinged it out. I need the gems to dry out, and on this one I will show you like what if you would like to paint something else on top of it. So I'm picking up my oil. Come on, don't hide. The tweezers would be ideal on those kind of designs. Okay, I have put it quickly back to the water because one of the corners did bend a little bit. So I'm bringing more water in. That's why I like to work on the buffed surface as well, because if you struggle with the placement, you just quickly dip into the water and you can put it in the right place. Or if the corner bends or anything like that. So I'm just searching where I want my awl. Okay, actually I quite like it this way, so it looks slightly different than the other one. Yeah, I'm going to use it this way. And now I've got lots of sticking out parts, so I need to cut it off. Oh, actually make it even more interesting. Okay, so cut it even more off. That's it. So I have cut it quite a lot of it. That's it. I'm happy with that. I have placed my awl in the place I wanted. I need to wait for it to dry really well. And then I will encapsulate it in the top coat, then buff it, and then we will just draw some other bits and pieces on top of that to exchange the design, so they are not going to look exactly the same. It's the same awl, just slightly different position, and the design will look different. So put this one on the side. In the meantime, we can apply the top coat on the dream catcher. I'm just going in between the crystals. When you apply the crystals, always make sure the glue dries out, because otherwise you could damage your top coat. I'm going to cure this one now. And this one is ready as well. So what I want to do is I want to encapsulate this design in a top coat. I'm applying it nice and thick. And then we're going to buff it and add some painted detail, like a freehand painted detail, to exchange this design a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to cure it now and prepare my paint. I'm not going to go with anything overly too fancy, just like on very easy with squiggle or something, just to show you that you can paint it as well. Okay, that's my all nicely cured. Okay, I can buff it now. Make sure you use a really nice and smooth buffer, because you don't want to create the scratches on your tip. And this is kind of more interesting way of using the decals, because then you can add your freehand into that as well. So remove the dust, and then, like, I think it would be nice to draw a little bit peak on this owl, because this one is hardly visible. Okay, I'm just going to squeeze out a couple of the colors of the paints. And then we can start painting. So let's do those peak. Like, I'm mixing a tiny bit of orange with the yellow. I'm not sure, can you see those? Yes, you can see. I'm drawing such a small detail. And obviously at the moment you can tell which places have been painted, but I want to show it, but once we put the top coat, it's not going to be visible. And I want to show you the difference in between, like, this one with the peak looks much nicer, I think. I think the eyes area could be more defined as well. Because the owl has huge eyes. I have to wait for my black to dry out, and then I can do like a little bit of the highlight in the eye as well. You can see I'm introducing constantly water to my paints. Like to paint such small details, you need lots of water. Just highlighted her eyebrows as well. And now I'm going to do the highlight in the eye. So you do really need to hold your breath for these parts. We could add a tiny branch. So I don't want it to be too strong. As you can see, the dream catcher is not too big. So just matching the color of it. So this all is standing on the branch. And also, if we've got the branch, we could do maybe a little flower up on the top or something. Now let's do feet, clefts. Something orange. You don't want them too prominent. And I show you the difference already in between those two. I'm going to add a tiny bit of the green. So squish a little bit of the turquoise and the green. And some pink. I think pink will go really nice. I'm taking just a tiny bit larger brush because I will draw like a wee flowers. And then the green, I'm going to mix it a tiny bit with the brown so it can kind of go as leaves. That's a bit too strong. Now, because the owl is so precise, like it's so beautiful, you have to be really precise with your work too. And try to kind of find the colors which are going together as well. Yeah, I think that will be enough. So this all is a bit exchanged. That has something else into that than the plain one. So I have to wait for my paint to dry out, and then I can apply the top coat. But it could be really interesting even to exchange the feathers or add a different color of the feathers into the existing ones. So once I'm putting the top coat, everything becomes kind of more uniform together. So you cannot see specifically the face with the parts of the face which was painted compared to the other one. But I really like those wee light reflection in the eye. I think it's making it more realistic. I will add a couple of the gems just because we've got gems on all of them. And then that's this design finished. Okay, I can cure it, and I show you all three of them. So we actually have created like a little theme of the owls and the dream catchers. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, give me a like or subscribe, because that was just an easy water decals for some beginners nail technician. But actually, even for you guys, if you more advanced, you could buff it on top of it, and you could paint it with the acrylic paints to exchange the look like we did it with this all. And I quite like it because it's slightly different than the original ones. So thanks for watching once again. Bye.